I'm sorry this video is so late, but I'm a Persona fan. I got this DLC when it came out, and I was playing it, but then I ended up falling off for like a month, because I had so many other things going on. But I finally just beat this earlier today, and I still want to talk about it, so let's do it. This is actually my first video just talking about video game DLC. Persona 3 Reload, episode Aigis. The answer. So episode Aigis, yeah, this is the DLC extended epilogue of Persona 3 Reload. You may remember I reviewed that game earlier this year. It's like the third or fourth remake of Persona 3. One of those earlier remakes had this extended epilogue chapter, which has now been remade and brought into Reload. So again, new souped up graphics and new voice cast. So the story takes place not too long after the events of Persona 3 Reload. The main character, the main protagonist of Persona 3, whose canon name is Makoto Yuki, he has died. He sacrificed his life to save the world. So now the rest of SEES, the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, they're in mourning, they're grieving, but now on March 31st, the day is repeating itself, a la Groundhog Day or Happy Death Day. This mysterious abyss of time has appeared underneath their dorm, and even more mysterious, a new character arrives. She goes by the name Metis, and she is an android just like Aigis. She calls herself Aigis' sister, and so there are mysteries to be unfolded. Unveiled. Why is all of this happening, and what are we gonna do about it? And now I will say there was a reason I fell off of this for about a month, and I'll get to that. But first, just touching on Aigis and where she is at this point in her life, because she's my favorite character from Persona 3, so I just love talking about her. Because her whole, entire purpose in Persona 3 was to be protective of the protagonist character. So now that he is dead, she feels like she doesn't have a place anymore, she has no purpose. How do you live on after that? And yeah, now you play as her, which is really cool, not gonna lie. Because she is now the one who has the power of the wild card, the ability to wield multiple personas. So she has been appointed the new leader of SEES. Yeah, the android who's having a post-traumatic existential crisis has now been appointed the new leader of this kick-ass team. No pressure. And then there's Metis, who, this is funny, she's voiced by Lizzie Freeman, aka Pomni. Yeah, as in that Pomni from The Amazing Digital Circus. I saw that name in the credits, I was like, get out of here. I laughed. But Metis, yeah, she's a really interesting character. Because she's relatable in that she is kind of like Aigis, not just appearance-wise, but behavior-wise as well. She seeks a purpose, she seeks to fulfill her purpose, which she believes is to protect Aigis. Alright, I can dig that. And that's the thing about these new Persona stories. Whenever there's a new chapter in a Persona story, there's always a new character that's introduced, and they're the ones who get all the development. Everyone else, the other members of SEES, they're just there, you know? It's like the rest of the toys in Toy Story. You have Woody, Buzz, and maybe Jessie a couple of times. They get the serious development. Everyone else, Ham, Slinky Dog, Rex, they're just in the background. They're just there to fill in the gap. They're the ensemble, so to speak. Not that I'm complaining, because I still enjoy them as characters, but you know, I found this same fact to be true in Persona 5 Strikers and Tactica, and now here in Persona 3 Reload episode Aigis, the answer. That's all I'm saying. So the majority of this DLC is going through the different floors of the Abyss of Time, in which case you look at it and you're like, yeah, this is pretty much exactly like Tartarus in the main campaign. Except now every so often, usually when you reach one of the bosses, you'll catch a glimpse of this figure running off, and yeah, you can see that it's something resembling the main campaign's protagonist. So you feel like something is taunting Aigis. But the big problem I had with this is the reason I fell off is because there's no real progression with that until pretty much the end of this DLC story, which I'd say clocks in at about 25 to 30-ish hours, give or take. So I was just going floor after floor, gameplay after gameplay, and boss fights and shadows in, you know, the same basic drill. And alright, every so often we would get a glimpse of the past of one of the characters. It would be like the moment that they found out they had something to do with the big incident, pretty much what caused them to join this crew. And you're like, alright, it does eventually become relevant in the end, but for the time being, when I was watching these flashbacks, I was like, why am I seeing this? And I get that it's there for the sake of intrigue, they're not answering everything right away. That's standard Persona case. I just felt like the questions I had went unanswered for too long. Really, the biggest questions I had weren't answered until the end of the story. It didn't really drop any clues or hints throughout to keep me engaged, you know? It didn't really leave me hanging. So at a point, I was just still going from floor to floor, fight after fight, and I was like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. There's no real story progression, and so I fell off. I had other shit to do. What can I say? Sue me. I mean, that being said, the gameplay is still fun. I mean, it's Persona. It's that classic JRPG battle system that we all know and love. Attacking with personas, or our weapons, or the theurgies, which are always cool. Some of the boss fights are really hard, especially towards the end. There was one, that took a while for me to beat. I repeat, But it made for quite the fun challenge, so I'm satisfied. In fact, it felt really gratifying when I did eventually win. That was cool. But for so long, I was like, alright, the story's just dragging on without any real progression, or at least any progression that felt relevant to me. I hope the ending really pays off. And, well, this being Persona, how do you think it went? Of course it paid off! Yeah, holy shit, the ending of this DLC story was awesome, it was emotional, it really hit the heartstrings, because that's just what Persona does. It lures you in with its awesome character development and writing, so by the end, you care about them so much that you're damn near crying yourself. There was a point when all the revelations going down, I was like, oh man. I almost teared up. I almost did, because I said it once and I will say it again. Aigis. Best girl. Honestly, she's gotta be one of my favorite characters in all of Persona at this point. Granted, I haven't played that many Persona games, comparatively speaking to how many there actually are, but just saying. And with this new DLC story does come some new music as well. They released a separate soundtrack for this, and I'll say it's good stuff for sure. I don't really see myself actually remembering a whole lot of the new tracks though, if I'm being completely honest. And I think it's because some of the hard battles towards the end, they lasted so long for me because it took so long for me to beat that the repeating tracks eventually just became annoying for me. To the point where I was like, okay, I could go for never hearing this song again, because I was just forced to listen to it for like half an hour straight. On loop. Yeah, that was fun. Again, it's not bad music or anything. It's great, I just don't need to listen to it again right away. Maybe someday though. I wouldn't be opposed to it. So in the end, episode Aigis the Answer, I honestly don't know if it was worth the $35 I spent on it. I just think the pacing of the story could have been a lot better. Cause yeah, it kind of failed at keeping me engaged in it. I still love the characters and the writing and the ending with all the revelation. That was badass. And by the time it's all over, you want to cry because it's Persona. The music is still good. The gameplay's still fun. I mean, if you're a Persona fan, you've already played this, so I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Let's hope you just came to this video for my opinion. If you're not a Persona fan, if you played Reload and you were like, then don't buy this DLC. It won't be worth it for you. But if and when I play the main campaign of P3R again, I will follow it up with episode Aigis, because I mean, I have it now and it's still fun in its own way. So yeah, those are my thoughts. So Persona 3 Reload episode Aigis the Answer. Long title, I know. Have you played it? What are your thoughts on it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Peace!